Welcome to the View from C-Deck. This is another one of our inaugural podcasts, and this will be the first time we give a nice NFL season preview. I'm just Matt, here with just Jason. Let's get it going.
Cat in the wall, eh? Okay, now you're talking my language.
You ever drunk Baileys from a shoe?
Oh, great. Thanks, Mother, for replacing the baby aspirin with LSD.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
All right, and we're ready, excited. NFL football's about here. A lot of Buckeyes in the league. Can't wait to talk about them, see what we got going on. But we're going to start out just going division by division, how we think the teams are going to finish in order, what teams are going to make the playoffs, what teams are going to stink, why the Browns blew one of the best rosters in the league to get Deshaun Watson. So let's get going. And we're going to start here, of course, with the AFC North, one that's going to be a lot of our listeners' favorite teams, I believe. And Jason, how you see AFC North shaking out this year?
I mean, it's tough to say with Cleveland not having Deshaun Watson, but they don't. Like, it's just the bottom line is they don't the first 11 games. You have some easy games mixed in there. I'm a Cleveland fan, been my whole life, but I don't see us be just straight with you. I don't see us making the playoffs. We have a very tough stretch there at the end of that stint with Brissett or Garoppolo, whoever it is. You go Tampa Bay, Buffalo. I mean, it's just straight losses we're going to have there. Yeah, we get Deshaun back with Houston, but we have division games pretty much from there on out when we get him back. And, I have us finishing second to last. I think Pittsburgh finishes last just because of the uncertainty at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a toss-up between Baltimore and Cincinnati. I'm leaning Baltimore.
Baltimore as well.
Just because, their defense is stacked when they're healthy. I mean, people want to diss them for last year and missing Humphrey and Marcus Peters, but their draft that they had, adding Linderbaum, adding Kyle Hamilton, who's a phenomenal possible defensive rookie of the year. I think it's going to be Baltimore, and I have them as possible, definitely 2 seed in the AFC.
And Jabo down the road.
Yeah.
Why did people let them get away with this stuff? They've always drafted well, and they're stacked. They lost 14 guys last year to season-ending injuries that were in their top 22,
exactly,
which is insane.
Yeah.
JK's back.
Yep.
And go Bucks, except for when they play Cincinnati.
Yeah. And I just think with Lamar being him having his not hold out but being in that limbo state, I think he's going to be playing his
packed on 20 pounds of muscle too. So they're saying.
I
don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I'm not. Yeah. I don't know if you feel this way, but when guys change their weight or change the way they're built, usually the opposite way when they slim down and then suddenly they're just not as effective as what was before. But we saw in the NBA this year, Anthony Davis packed on muscle and got hurt like he always does. So I'm not sure if it's going to help him that much or if it's like a real gain, but we'll see.
Yeah.
If he's out there running though like a tank at 6'3" or whatever he is, 230. Holy crap!
Yeah,
with that speed.
I don't think he needed to do that because if Dobbins and Gus Edwards are healthy and they're running the ball, I think the more thing is the weapons on offense that they lack. And Mark Andrews definitely possible best tight end in the game, but they traded Hollywood Brown and now they're looking at Rashad Bateman as their wide receiver one. That's the big question marks there, but he's made do with worse. And so I think he could have an MVP caliber season.
I just trust Harbaugh and their coaching staff.
Exactly.
Cincinnati obviously made the Super Bowl, added a lot on the O-line, which is by far their biggest weakness. We'll see if it comes together. It's not a guarantee, but I think they could be better. But that schedule is brutal, especially the last 8 games of the year. They're playing 7 playoff teams, something like that, something insane.
Yeah,
ouch. And it's we've talked about before on this show with Casey that with Indiana coming off the COVID year and being finally respected in the offseason, it's a little different when suddenly you're getting 1 or 2 extra hours of attention from a head coach on another team every week in the offseason. They're not just waiting for your game week to game plan you because you're just the Bengals. Yep. You're going to get everybody's best shot and not just that week. That's the big thing about the offseason in general. It's the offseason is what makes it. Everybody tries hard once the season rolls around, but it's what you're doing in the offseason that dictates what's going to occur. And if people are paying more attention to the Bengals, they're going to try. People are emulating the Bengals. The Browns are emulating the Bengals, drafting kickers, trying to get that going on. People be ready for them, but I still think they make the play. I have them as a playoff team. I think 10-7. Sure. I think. Yeah. I think they make it. And the AFC is stacked though. The AFC is stacked. It would not surprise me if they miss it. It would not surprise me if Cleveland makes it. Cleveland. part of me wants to see him win because just despite Deshaun and despite Baker more than anything for planting that flag. But never
can't get over that.
Never forget. But I don't know, man. It's tough losing your starting quarterback and then reintegrating him later on in the season. Where is he going to be? He won't have played in over a season and a half, a single game. Yeah. And he went 1 for 5 in his one preseason start. It's not like he was out there just looking like he owned the offense and was shredding it.
Yeah, I mean,
not that it matters.
It doesn't. But the lack of explosiveness, I think that's the bottom line with Cleveland's offense. Last year, it's going to be copy and paste from last year to this year. We didn't change anything. We lost our two of our best offensive weapons in Austin Hooper and Jarvis Landry, and now you're expecting David Njoku to be that, franchise tight end who he was always meant to be, but we haven't used him as such. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chubb and Hunt in the offensive line are there, but I mean, look, I'm not rolling with Amari Cooper and David Bell with that Jacoby Brissett. I'm not rolling with that in the first 11 games.
Oh man,
I just look.
Amari's underpaid now.
Amari's underpaid. Yeah, Christian Kirk, give the brother some love.
He looked good last night, actually.
Yeah, I have him as a good pickup, but I just going to Cincinnati here. I just think that something's got to come down with them. They went on such a tremendous run in the playoffs last year, but it was due to their defense. Their offense, I mean, look, you get to the playoffs and defenses step up. I mean, guys, that's just how it always is. The defenses, finally have, some lot more game time on you. Mm-hmm. But can that defense carry over into this year? And Jesse Bates having to hold out, can the defense step up and do that for a whole year against a tough schedule? It's remained to be seen because I think the offense is going to be there. And the offensive line's better. I think that can be there, but can they perform?
Can they perform? The defense, I thought, overachieved in the playoffs, actually.
Yeah.
They were not that good during the regular season. No. They found ways to win games, but they're only 10-7.
Yeah.
And they got hot towards the end. They found a way to, for second halves of games, contain Patrick Mahomes somehow. Mainly Mahomes, I think, just got impatient with them, though, and they just stayed patient and made him take underneath stuff. But, I mean, they have a good pass rush. They're going to get a little bit of upgrade, but I'm not sure. Eli Apple stinks. Sorry, as a Buckeye fan, but he's not. If he's one of your number one corners, I like the other corners better.
Yeah.
But if he's going to have to be out there, he's going to get roasted every now and then. I think their linebackers are still below average. Their line is good, but not as deep as it was, especially up the middle, losing Ngogwu. And then the Jesse Bates situation, who knows how that works out. But they've drafted a lot of good safeties. I'm not too worried about safety play. I think Bates will come in and be a professional because he's playing for a huge paycheck now, as we saw some of the safeties getting paid now. Yeah. But I have Baltimore and Cincinnati making the playoffs. I think you do too. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, for sure. I think Baltimore and Cincinnati have them in the 10 to 11 win range, both of them. Cleveland's more in the 9 win range. And then we never really touched on Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh is well coached. They have good defense, and that's what's been their bread and butter. And it carried them to the playoffs last year despite Big Ben being atrocious. If they can just get a little bit better quarterback play out of whoever it is, Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, they might surprise people again and make the playoffs. I mean, because the AFC North
stunned me, but their line too is still not.
Yeah, but best. I think they have the weapons: Deontay Johnson, Claypool. They have a good running.
Pickens looks good.
Najee and Pickens. I mean,
Pickens would be a good. I think he's not that much of a sleeper. I think his odds aren't that high for Rookie of the Year. I think he's like third, like tied for third, something like that.
No, and I could see them. Like, I hate to admit it being a Cleveland fan, but. There's the foundation's there for Pittsburgh to be a playoff team. It's just the question mark at quarterback play.
What did I watch last night? I mean, Pickett looked decent, but what I saw from them last night, Trubisky looked like another Mason check down Rudolph going on there.
Yep. If
they just check down all day, they'll get contained. And then it's the tough division, tough schedule. Our cross division matchups are not easy. It'll be tough.
Yeah.
All right, AFC South, probably the weakest overall division in the AFC. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean,
stinky.
I mean,
there's some good.
It's hands down the worst.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, even if you're going to say the AFC East is good. I mean, no, it is the worst.
It's the worst.
It's the worst. I mean, Houston will be lucky to get 2 or 3 wins. I mean, I really do like David Mills, but they just have nothing on that offense. Brandon Cooks. I mean, they have nothing.
I think they get to at least 4 just because of their division. I think they get a win against Tennessee and a win against Jacksonville. I mean, one of them. And they play last place schedule, so
I think Tennessee is too good to lose to Jacksonville twice, especially with them being able to control the clock. I don't think they beat Indianapolis, but we've seen crazier stuff happen with Indianapolis at Jacksonville. But I do like Jacksonville this year. I think Jacksonville gets to the 6-win mark, I think, because Trevor Lawrence is just, I think he's too good not to reach his potential. And, Travis Etienne coming back, I think, they're going to surprise to not make the playoffs. But I think you're going to see some development out of their young players. And, I think, they have a very capable defensive rookie of the year in Travon Walker up the middle that he could have some potential there.
Yeah. I like Jacksonville. I have them third here, but now you're talking me into second for the division. Actually, I'll put them at second because Trevor Lawrence looked really good in both preseason games.
He's looked phenomenal. He actually has weapons. I mean, you talked about, Christian Kirk. I think he's a phenomenal slot receiver. He's just that. He's overpaid.
He's overpaid, but he's an improvement of what they had.
I mean, he shined without DeAndre Hopkins last year in Arizona's offense, and you put him in with a capable coach in Doug Peterson, who didn't really get his due for Philadelphia.
Christian Kirk was coming out of high school. I wanted him bad at Ohio State. I thought we had a good chance at him too. We would get him now with Brian Hartline, but I like them. But Indy, I have as the class of the division.
Yep.
Matt Ryan is an upgrade, whether anybody wants to believe it or not.
No, he's an upgrade.
Carson Wentz stinks. And their defense is solid all around at every level. They have the best running back in the league.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's up for debate. And they have good weapons at wide receiver too. Pittman can play. They're the most complete team in the division by far.
Yeah.
There's just too many holes. Tennessee, I think, just played a little over their head last year. Their win-loss, I don't think, reflected how good they actually were. And Derrick Henry, those touches add up eventually, man. Everybody comes down from him. And he started to break down last year. He looked horrible when he came back against the Bengals, I thought.
I think he was rushed there a little bit.
Yeah.
They were really look, I think you may be able to agree to this. If they don't play Derrick Henry, who was it? Foreman or
Foreman was killing him.
He was killing him.
Foreman was killing him.
Why in those two last plays? Third, they do a quarterback option on the third down play. That was stupid. Tannehill's not an option quarterback. No. Why you do it there? You run Henry twice or Foreman twice, and then the fourth down, what are they going to do? Everybody knows they're going to run Henry, and he gets stuffed.
Yep.
Credit to the Bengals, but come on. I mean, there's got to be some creativity there on Vrabel's part. I think Tennessee misses the playoffs.
Vrabel's a defensive guy.
Yeah.
He's creative in like what kind of dips he puts in his lip, but that's about it.
Yeah, but I think Tennessee misses the playoffs. I just think Robert Woods won't be back there for the start of the season. Traylon
lost
Burks,
A.J. Brown.
Yeah, they lost A.J. Brown. Julio wasn't really there, but they lost him. They had Austin Hooper, who I think he's going to be, an under the radar flyer there for fantasy purposes. But I just think Derrick Henry's going to touch his head up, and I always thought Ryan Tannehill was overrated, and I think that's going to show this year with them having to pass the ball to nothing.
How dare you slander my fantasy quarterback from last year? I could have been a really good team if I hadn't drafted him.
Yeah, that's what most people say, and that But as for win totals go, I think Indianapolis, they get to 10 or 11 at least. Tennessee, I think they're good enough to get to 9 or 10, but I mean AFC is loaded. I don't think 9 or 10 gets it locked into the wild card. I think you're going to need to get to 10 or 11.
10 and then it'll be tiebreakers for a lot of teams.
And I think Jacksonville, like I said, 5 or 6, and Houston, I think 2 and 3 in range is fine. I could see them getting to 4, but look, their cross divisionals, the AFC West, good luck, and the NFC East, which the Jets are a cakewalk, but that's it.
Yeah, I agree. Indy in and comfortably, they may get to 12 just because they're going to go 5-1 in their division. I would almost guarantee that. Man, Jacksonville might clip them twice. I could see that. Jacksonville could make some
has
noise.
Their number. They have not won in Jacksonville since 2017, or it's something like that. It was something like that. That's why they lost last year, and people were like, "Look."
Yeah, they only win of the season.
Not to go to the playoffs because you lost to Jacksonville. Good job.
Okay, AFC East, a much improved division, I think. Well, mainly if it's one team. Well, the two teams, Miami and the Jets both improved dramatically. Now the Jets, what does that look like? Who knows? They were terrible last year, and now they have their young quarterback injured in the preseason. Going to mess up some of their chemistry, but best draft in the league, hands down, was the Jets. And Buffalo, though, they got all the hype. They're the favorites right now. I like them a lot. I like Josh Allen a lot.
There's nothing not to like there in Buffalo.
They just got
the running game.
but
there's nothing not to like in Buffalo.
But when you have a guy like a guy as mobile as Josh Allen makes a running game work no matter who's back there. Yeah, the tailbacks aren't anything to write home about, but they got everything else going for them. Out of Von Miller on defense, that's nasty. They were Patrick Mahomes' miracle away from going to the AFC Championship, and I think they were a way worse matchup for the Bengals, actually, because of Josh Allen and his mobility. And I think they got something to prove. It's one of those things. They're getting way overhyped, and you could think, man, that's going to go to their head, and that'll F it up for them. But they also are coming off such a heartbreaking loss. There's no way that's not driving them.
Yes.
In the offseason, like that has to be. They got to be thinking we were so close to getting. I mean, it wasn't to go to the Super Bowl, but getting so close to getting a home game to go to the Super Bowl. That's got to be one. They're going to want to get that number 1 seed.
Yep.
And I think they will get it. I don't think their division. I think while the division's much improved, I don't think there's any other teams that are going to consistently beat them. Holy crap!
That was some lightning. I was trying to ignore it, but there is nothing. That sounded like it blew up a building.
Maybe it did. Thor in action right now.
That was nasty. But
sorry, I trashed your movie last night, man.
Yeah. I think Buffalo. I hate to bring it up, but Dawson Knox just lost his brother.
Yep.
And that can bring a team together.
Yeah.
And that could be an extra motivation to a team that's already motivated. That can just fuel the fire and just carry them through the first half of the season just on a tear, if not the whole season. I think the defense is just loaded with the safeties anchoring that defense. You wouldn't think of safeties would, but they've got just a nasty defense that's going to – I mean, they're in a tough division. I think, for me personally, I think Miami's going to finish second.
Yeah,
I think their defense is just too good to not finally step up in the offense. Any Tyreek now.
Excellent corners.
Now, can Tua get the ball to Tyreek? That's the biggest question that I think people don't talk enough about. I mean, I've seen videos from the practices. He's coming up short. I mean, Tyreek Hill's fast, but to not be able to get the ball to him on a 30 or 40 yard seam route.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I think New England's got to take a step back. They overachieved last year. I think Mac Jones really was sheltered in that offense.
He looks, from what I've heard, without Josh. Well, they also don't have an offensive coordinator. They have 2 who don't seem to have
any semblance. Yes, any semblance of an idea how to run an offense, let alone one that doesn't have any weapons. I don't think Kendrick Bourne and what they have there is capable of sustaining an offense.
The kid they drafted from Baylor.
Yeah.
He's fast. That's all we got, though, is he's fast.
I mean, look, the Browns, Anthony Schwartz is fast, but if you can't catch the ball, I mean,
can't run routes.
I'll take Devontae, a big guy that's also fast, Traylon Burks, over a fast, just a straight burner.
I'm a Bill Belichick stan, but I don't really understand what they're going for and what they see in Mac Jones. And I don't understand for that matter. That's the most overhyped player in the league right now. They won games without him even throwing passes. Like, this is my huge argument is always it's a team game.
Yes.
Giving quarterbacks wins and losses is stupid. See a game where Mac Jones threw a pass,
2 passes, and
didn't
completed any.
Didn't complete any, and they won the game against Buffalo, against the Super Bowl favorite this year.
I mean,
at Buffalo, like that's insanity.
Yeah.
And he's the one getting credit. I'm like, what? Because he turned around and handed the ball off good as fuck. That's
it's it's tough because they were such a dynasty for so long, and they're hoping Mac Jones can be a shade of Tom Brady. He's not. He doesn't hold a candle to him. I think that it's not time to move on. I still think he deserves some shots, but I think they're like you said, is way overhyped.
He's not elevating a roster. Period.
No.
So I have Buffalo number 1 overall seed and winning the division. I don't have Miami making the playoffs, but I think they get close. Like you, New England, and the Jets bringing it up. I can see the Jets finishing ahead of New England, but if Zach Wilson had made it through the healthy preseason and looking better, I'd have been more on that. But they drafted 4 starters in the draft in their first 4 picks. That's great value.
Yeah, I think it is. But I have like the Jets 5 to 6 range, and then I don't have Miami making the playoffs either. But I think them and New England can get to about the 9-win range, possibly 10. But
if Tua does prove us wrong, then Miami's making it.
Yeah.
If he turns that into something, I mean, he doesn't have to hit deep balls. Both Waddle and Tyreek can take a slant to the house all day.
Yeah.
And he's good at throwing slants. I do know that. But that's tough against NFL defenses. They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Now it's on to the toughest division in the AFC and toughest division in all of football maybe ever. Maybe the best quarterback division ever.
Yeah, I'll just take a round robin schedule of the AFC West. I would just put every one of their games on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, and if you're a football fan, you have to watch those games. These are 4 playoff teams. In any other year, these are 4 playoff teams. I mean,
if they were spread out, they'd all 4 make it.
Exactly, sure. And I 100% agree. But bottom line, somebody's going to miss the playoffs. I think 2 teams make the playoffs at least. I have 3 in my initial rankings.
We have the same playoff teams.
Yeah.
What a hot take.
We
have the same 7.
I think we're just smart guys.
Yeah.
I have a toss-up. I think Denver gets that last playoff spot.
Okay, no, never mind. We don't then.
Yeah, I think Cleveland's right there behind Denver.
I have Oakland getting it.
See, it's just something about me. They proved me wrong last year with Derek Carr. I just think Russell Wilson and that Denver and that defense in Denver, there's just something there that has got to click. And the wide receivers left, they leave a little bit to be desired. But, I think there's something about Vegas just seems off ever since Gruden left.
True. I mean, I don't think they're a juggernaut or any sort of lock, and I'm not a huge Derek Carr fan, but they've got Devontae. They're just an improved team all around. They have a lot of guys. They have guys on contract years at running back, which is always nice. You usually get a pretty good effort then. Crosby's one of the best DNs in the league. Their secondary isn't the best, which is why I have them third. I have Kansas City still winning the division. I think Mahomes has an MVP year. That's who I got for my MVP. I think he's got a lot to prove. Andy Reid has a lot to prove with Tyreek Hill leaving, but Andy Reid's always got a good offense no matter who he's got thrown it to, except for he's got the best quarterback in the league besides maybe Josh Allen. And Mahomes, I think he'll get the MVP because he's going to lead a team that people saw as taking a step back moving forward. And they get back Clyde Edwards-Helaire maybe healthy finally this year. Maybe he finally shows something. I don't know.
His yards after contact, yet alone yards per carry, which is due to the offensive line play. But they have a good offensive line. Orlando Brown, I mean, come on. But back to Vegas. Did you see that report or what Dana White said last night?
That something about Gruden, but I didn't see. Gruden nixed Tom Brady to
Tom Brady and Gronk. Even Gronk admitted that it was actually true, and he was like, Gronk's the one that brought it up, and Dana White's like,
Dana White, you newsbreaker.
Yeah, and so that's nuts in itself. I mean, that would have been phenomenal to see them, but I'm glad it worked out for them going to Tampa and they got their Super Bowl. I know you don't like Tom Brady, but
F Tom Brady. He went to Michigan. That's all. That's where it started.
I tried
grew as he won more.
I can see that. I didn't grow up with Tom Brady going to Michigan, and really his early years I don't remember. But I think with
Mac Jones-esque. I think he is Tom Brady. No, he's better than Mac. Mac Jones is not Tom Brady.
No,
different league then.
I have the Chargers winning the division, and that's not a hot take. I just think Tyreek meant so much to that offense, and you're asking Juju Smith-Schuster to be the number one wide receiver, who is more worried about making TikToks and stuff off the field than he was worried about his production on the field. Travis Kelce, yes, give me him or Mark Andrews. But their running game's never been something to golf at or to really anything. It's been non-existent since Mahomes.
That's Andy Reid's offense.
And that's Andy Reid's offense, and it's carried them to the Super Bowl. I get it. But in a year when you're not going to have your best receiver ever in franchise history, and I just think the Chargers added...
Dwayne Bowe exists.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No. Nothing speaks to the cheetah speed. But the Chargers just... I think Herbert is going to show people what he's got this year. And their defense adding Khalil Mack. And that's scary with Joey Bosa. If Khalil can stay healthy and just give him one more year of what he was... I think the Chargers win that division, and Kansas City finishes in a close second.
I think it's going to be really, really close. I almost put Herbert as my MVP pick to try and be a little bit hot takey, but not hot takey because a lot of people really like him. I think he's great. They got good talent around him on offense. I don't think it's an elite, but it's really good. Their defense, though, adding Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa is my defensive MVP pick, and I think Khalil Mack will unlock a lot of extra sacks for him. Stuff that was all the double teams. He faced really the most double teams in the league for defensive end.
Yeah, you just look what Jadeveon did for Myles Garrett. Opens up opportunities. Myles had probably one of his best seasons ever. It's gonna happen in LA.
Yeah, they're not San Diego anymore. Oh, they'll always be San Diego to me.
You should have the Arnold Schwarzenegger. Go Chargers.
Go Chargers, go.
Yeah, I think all of those teams are going to be right around 10 or 11 wins. I don't see any of them getting past the 11-win mark just because of how tough that is. And they're cross-division. You have the two best divisions in football playing each other, AFC West and the NFC West. Yeah. And the AFC South is thrown in there for the AFC West, so that'll bump up their numbers a little bit. But I think 10 to 11 wins is will get them in the playoffs just being how
I could see. That's why I think Denver's out. I just think I like Russell Wilson, but I don't think he's still the same Russell Wilson. We'll see. And I'm not sure about the talent around him being the same as when he was lighting it up with DK and Tyler Lockett.
I think Denver and Cleveland are very similar.
Yeah.
I think their running games are 1 and 2 in the league.
Javonte
and Melvin Gordon can carry that team.
I mean, with a running quarterback,
it could be. And
I'll mock it even more.
Jerry Jeudy missed. He got undervalued a little bit because of how much time he missed last season in Cortland.
And how bad their quarterback.
And how bad their quarterback play was. Drew Lock, and that's why Seattle might be lucky to win 2 or 3 games. But that division is going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah. Oh, it's that's must-watch TV. Every week there's going to be a good matchup out of that. I can't wait.
Yep.
All right, so let's go ahead and go with who you have coming out of the AFC then for the Super Bowl this year.
I mean, for the Super Bowl, just coming out of the AFC, it's my hot take. I'm taking Baltimore. I think they have a lot to prove. I think Lamar
has a lot to prove.
Lamar's got a lot to prove
in the playoffs.
They've got the best kicker in the game. That goes a long way, as we've seen in the playoffs. And if they can just stay healthy, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards are back, and that offensive line is beefed up with Linderbaum in the middle, and that defense, that back with Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, they've always got a tough middle. It's a tough division, but we can say that about most of the AFC right now.
Yeah,
I think Baltimore can get there, and they've got the coaching and the experience to go there.
Yeah, I have Buffalo. I think home field plays a lot into that.
Yep.
I don't trust Lamar in the playoffs still. When teams bear down and make him throw. I mean, this is why Cincinnati did so well last year against Mahomes and him. They just decided, we're going to let you sit back there, and we're going to take away your deep stuff, and we're going to try to contain. We're going to take away what you do best.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't show the ability to counteract that, if he can't stand in the pocket and just win the game from the pocket, because they'll just Cincinnati would just let Sam Hubbard kind of sit there and spy him on the out, like play the old QB contain from the old games. Like it's something I need to see him actually do, beat people when they straight up force him to pass it. But with J.K. back and Gus Edwards back, maybe they don't have to. Maybe they can just run the ball and get there. Yeah. But I think that's easier said than done, especially against a defense like Buffalo and having to go on the road. And it's just the AFC's so stacked, especially at quarterback. Like you got so many good quarterbacks there that it's. I don't know if I can see them doing it. Yeah, I got Buffalo. But I think it's just the home field. The kid in me, I love the Bills back when they had Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly and all them, and watching them play in the playoffs up there.
The Bills,
Old Orchard Park or whatever. Yeah, it was good times. I'm looking forward to coming back.
Yeah.
Bring back the red helmets.
Yeah, they were a very nice throwback. But I don't think if you're a fan in the NFL of any team, other than in that division being Jets or Patriots, I think everybody universally likes the Bills.
They do.
I don't think that anybody hates Josh Allen. They just have a very likable component to them, and their fan base are very lovable fans. If Cleveland fans weren't such dicks at times, I think we would be in that same ballpark with people feeling our
and if your ownership
sorrow.
Wasn't hiring rapists.
Yes, exactly. Massage time, baby.
Yeah.
But I just think there's a lot to like there.
Yeah. They're stacked. The AFC playoffs are going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, there's 8 to 10 teams there. It's a toss up. I mean, there's 6 teams where I think they could all win the AFC.
I'd say 5. I don't think Indy can. Is that who your 6th team is? I got Kansas City, the Chargers, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Baltimore. I think all are capable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said Cincinnati except for they did it last year.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the NFC.
Much easier.
Oh yeah. We'll go through this pretty quick, probably actually.
Yep.
NFC North,
of course.
Green Bay's division. They own it. They still own it.
Yep.
I don't care if they lost Devontae and Marquette. Who cares about MVS?
Yep.
He was never that good to begin with. They are stacked on defense.
Yep.
Secondary is the best secondary in the league, I think. Right there, Cleveland's pretty good too, but they're really really good.
Ours is unproven.
Yeah.
I mean,
really really good secondary. Really good pass rush, too, to go with that secondary. That's nasty if they get the lead. I think they can Patriots their way on offense, the Patriots of the later Brady years, where they pound you on the run game, dice you up in short passing game. They don't have a proven deep threat at all, but a couple rookies got a good chance to be. Daub sounds really good.
Yeah.
Everything's very glowing about him, but Rodgers and rookies haven't always been a good mix. But they got... And Bakhtiari came off the pup list today.
He did?
Yeah. So
they're
back on the O-line, and they got
momentum.
2 really good running backs. Or I guess A.J. Dillon's a really good secondary running back.
No, they're both. A.J. Dillon showed enough last year where you can say he's good. I mean, he had a very good last 4 games.
Yeah.
Where he got more carries per game.
And he started catching the ball, which was not something you expected at all coming out of college, but that's because BC...
They're going to have to this year.
Yeah. Jones can do it too. I mean, Jones... It's like every year, though, something weird seems to happen in the playoffs. It's not even like, last year, their special teams, which who knows if that's actually gotten any better. Mason Crosby's still there, and he was terrible last year, especially in clutch situations.
Yeah, the old man's got to go.
Oh, yeah, it was not good. Maybe they should have adopted the Bengals strategy and drafted a kicker.
Yeah.
But it's been like a weird Aaron Jones fumble, and then somebody getting beat deep. Desmond King falling asleep at the end of the half and getting beat deep that cost him the game against the Tampa Bay. where Brady even throws 3 picks and still.
Hey, Tom Brady's the GOAT, man.
F Tom Brady. And then last year they lose a game because of special teams against San Francisco. They had no business losing. San Francisco didn't do anything on offense till their last drive.
Yep.
So I can't really slam the defense for that. It's just when you play that bad special teams and get punts blocked and can't kick and you lose field position battles that way, it's just tough. But I feel like it doesn't matter. They're still the cream of the division. I have Detroit as number 2 in that division this year. I like what they did in the offseason.
Yeah.
I think I'm not huge on Dan Campbell. If you've been watching the Hard Knocks, but I think he is the kind of coach that gets
The most
unproven guys to move to do the best they can.
Yeah.
Now, once you get proven guys, I think he's going to be a pain in the butt.
He's gonna rub them the wrong way.
He's going to rub him the wrong way. He's John Tortorella for
Exactly.
you Blue Jackets fans. But they got a really good O-line, really good running backs. I like St. Brown established himself as a pretty good receiver,
Yeah.
and when they get
Jameson,
Jameson Williams,
And T.J. Hawkinson.
they got the weapons.
But Jared Goff. But he went to a Super Bowl.
He did.
And with, talent that's very... Look, I'm just saying, if you give him enough talent and give him enough time in the pocket, will he...
And a super well designed offense.
I agree.
Run by Sean McVay.
I'm not... they're not making the playoffs, but,
I wouldn't be stunned if they made it just because the NFC stinks so bad.
Yeah.
That there's going to be a team that goes like 8-9. I think that makes it out of the NFC.
Oh, yeah, NFC like last year. I think an 8 or 9 win team is going to be right there. I personally think Minnesota's they're going to be neck and neck with Detroit. I think Minnesota's just got too much explosiveness there with my boy Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. That's just going to carry them to wins.
Yeah.
Especially, we got to talk about it. Justin Fields just
Stinks. Well, now he stinks. He's been screwed.
That is just the fumbling of the bag. You were to draft to trade away what you did to the Giants to pick Justin Fields, and then for you not to do anything with that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me Darnell Mooney's going to be the best receiver there. You have nothing. Cole Kmet, whoop-de-doo. And that defense is just depleted from what they once were.
Moderately good receiving tight ends win divisions for you. They're terrible. I think they're the worst team. Atlanta's really bad, and Atlanta plays hard. They may not end up with the number 1 pick, but they're going to be fighting for it because their division's probably a little better top to bottom. I don't know, maybe not, but I feel bad for Justin Fields. I'm not sure he's ever going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. Anyway, there were issues. Ryan Day's quarterbacks, the C.J. Stroud is the exception. That's why I think he will be the finally one to break the curse of the Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL. Their big hindrance has been their pocket presence. They look downfield too much almost and don't seem to feel the pass rush.
Move in the pocket.
Don't move in the pocket properly. Don't know when to tuck it, when not to tuck it. I saw it with Fields the other night, even though. But the problem is he's going to be running for his life every play. His right tackle was a turnstile the other night. They haven't improved the O-line really. They don't have any weapons. Yeah. They had good running back, like a good running back, but not great running backs or anything like that. And now they lost Khalil Mack on defense. They just stink to high heaven.
They got Roquan Swift, Mac.
He's back. He's playing the year. He's going to play and then leave them.
Yeah.
Because they stink. They're a bad organization.
Yeah, I tell you a lot. Them and the New York Knicks have got to be, the biggest franchises, to not do anything. To have, as many fans as they do in as big a cities that they are in, to really just disappoint year after year, it's got to be, just painful for those millions of fans.
There's some eerie similarities there. If only one of them if they'd won their Super Bowl and championship in the same decade, they'd be about exactly the same.
Yeah,
one random one-off finals appearance. Other than that, yeah.
And I just talk about it real quickly. Their ruggedness of their fans and wanting that outdoor feel, kind of like Lambeau and in that division, to want them to go and move and build a dome, that just goes against everything that the Bears have been about in tough defense and playing in the cold and getting that windy off the Lake Michigan.
What would they do? Isn't Soldier Field like a historic site? I don't think they can destroy it.
No, probably.
So they're just gonna leave it.
Yeah, leave it and have a bunch of concerts.
Guess yeah, yay.
Or a homeless shelter.
Could be. I don't know much about Chicago's homeless situation. Probably a lot. Who knows? I'm just gonna say a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Going to the NFC South now. Tampa Tom, when he's back from vacation or whatever the hell he's doing.
He's singing. He's shooting the Masked Singer. That's the big theory.
Well,
I guess the filming.
Spoiler alert for all the Masked Singer fans on here.
Wait, you don't want to see Rudy Giuliani pop out again?
We have to stop this and probably get sued by Fox.
Sorry, I have inside information.
The Tampa Tom, though, leads probably the best roster still in the NFC South. I didn't think they were overwhelmingly good last year at all. I could see them taking a step back, but I still think they're the best team in the division.
Yep.
And Tom's definitely the best quarterback in the division, even though he's old as hell.
Yep.
And maybe he'll just turn to dust if we're lucky, or the sun will shine on him and he's actually a vampire.
Look, I mean, it's not guaranteed that this is his last season, but with him having the retirement and coming back, it seems like this is his, last.
That was him trying to get traded.
Yeah, that was him trying to get traded, and
that was nothing to do with him actually wanting to retire.
I can see this being his last dance. Him losing Gronk, and everybody keeps forgetting. Look, Julio Jones is not what he once was, but him being on that offense, and Godwin can come back, and you got Mike Evans. Yeah, you don't have a tight end, but there's a lot. And Fournette,
Humphreys is a pretty good slot.
Humphreys is okay, and they have Ronald Jones and Fournette. They have what it takes to just to get to that 11 wins and just win the division and just coast into the playoffs.
Yeah. I think they can easily pick up a 2 or 3 seed and do it. And it's like Brady's whole career.
Yep. Look, people are high on New Orleans for good reasons. That defense and what it's been, and
I have them in the playoffs.
I don't think they do. They play 8 straight playoff teams, including I include the Ravens in that. I think the Ravens are a playoff team. They were just hurt last year. 8 straight teams in the meat of their schedule. Yes, Jameis Winston was 5-2 as a starter last year.
I'm a Jameis, not believer, but I think he's fine. I don't think he's what he was in Tampa Bay anymore, where he's just winging the ball. But he can be.
It's the let me see it. Same thing with Ohio State's defense. Until I see it, I will not. I'm not going to believe it.
Yeah.
And until I see Jameis go out there with Michael Thomas, who hasn't played in over a year, and a rookie Chris Olave, and Jarvis Landry, who's still a serviceable slot. Yes, they have Alvin Kamara, but until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. And that's why I have them at the 8-9 win range. And I don't. Actually, okay. I do have them making the playoffs. Yeah.
Outsmarted yourself.
I outsmarted myself.
Damn.
Yeah, I forgot how bad the NFC was.
It's tough. It is. It's
bad. It's bad. Yeah.
It's real bad. I got Carolina third, and I think the Atlanta Falcons will be there with Chicago. They have a slap fight, I believe, at one point. Do they? No, they don't. They don't play each other, do they?
No, they do not.
Man. I wish that'd be the Superbowl for sure.
Well, actually, no, they do, because Chicago finished third and so did
Oh yeah, Detroit was last.
Yeah, they'll play each other.
Oh baby,
Atlanta's gonna lose that game.
Can't wait. Atlanta stinks.
Atlanta's got the worst
defense in the league.
Worst position rankings across the board.
Yeah, the worst defense in the league most likely. They can't rush the passer whatsoever. They can't stop the run. Feel bad for Cordell Patterson back there, actually getting the shot, and this team just stinks. Marcus Mariota's not a legit starting quarterback in the NFL.
No,
not if you're trying to win anything besides last place. And they have a good rookie at receiver. Drake London was awesome at USC. We'll see.
He's
a rookie. And we've had good rookies lately, but they've usually had established people around them.
Yep.
Kyle Pitt's a good tight end. They I guess their position skill could, in theory, be okay, but it doesn't matter because their line stinks too. They're just bad.
They don't really. I mean, Cordell Patterson's a running back, wide receiver, like a Deebo Samuel type ass, but they don't really have a true running game.
What do you think about Baker in Carolina? There, Browns fan.
Our boy CJ Saunders is going to carry that team.
CJ, yeah, he's number 1 in the mock draft I saw.
Yeah, Matt Corral's out for the season, so that even if they're out of the playoffs. And it'll be tough not to see him. It would have been nice to see him in the last few games to see if they had anything there. But now they got Baker and Sam Darnold. That is
Sam Darnold stinks.
A recipe for disaster. I'm not high on the receiving cores. DJ Moore is okay, but they don't really have a tight end. Christian McCaffrey is far from what he once was. If he's healthy, yes, he's the best running back in the game. But
Jonathan Taylor still there.
Look, for what he can do, for his impact, I think McCaffrey at his prime was better, and I think is probably one of the best running backs of all time. But it was so short. I mean, dude, it was
short.
It was
they're
so
all
short.
Now
they're all short now for these uses. But I mean, come on, there was just explosive plays. I mean, I always just love watching the Rose Bowl highlights of Stanford versus Iowa.
Yeah, he was.
He was unbelievable, and just
they weren't a great team around him either.
No, and he carried that team to and so I think Carolina maybe gets to 6 wins. Hopefully, look, I wanted Cleveland to win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield. I will always, even if he planted the flag at Ohio Stadium, I think I'm going to root for him to do good. It's just he's not a hateable guy. He's not a likable guy. He's somewhere in the middle for most people. But I just think I'd like to see him go to Carolina and beat Cleveland in Week 1. I just would. With how
it would just be feeling good.
It would be feeling good and what Cleveland deserves after going after Deshaun Watson and doing this whole PR stunt and circus. It'd be good to see us lose to Baker, but it could be Sam Darnold trotting out there, and I don't think that's wise for Carolina to do that. I think Baker's better than Sam Darnold, and quite honestly, I think it's a disservice to Baker to have to sit behind Sam Darnold.
He's not starting. He's starting. He's starting over Sam Darnold.
I hope
It's just bad.
Yeah.
So you had New Orleans making it, so we both had Tampa.
Yes.
New Orleans. All right. NFC East. I think I have 2 teams out of here too. I think it's a crappy division, but I think everything's crappy besides the NFC West. I got Philly winning the division. I like what they did in the offseason. I don't love Jalen Hurts, but I like him with the talent around him.
Yes.
They have great O-line, solid running backs, added A.J. Brown at receivers, so now they're pretty solid around there. Yep. Defense is talented. I think Jalen's maybe the weak link, but he's good enough. Like he's going to win you games. And I have Dallas number 2 because the Cowboys are just an organization that will never get over the hump as long as Jerry Jones is meddling as much as he does. Yep. I'm not a big Dak Prescott believer. He may be slightly better than Jalen Hurts, but not enough, and not the way they use him. Our boy Zeke, love him, but we talked about short shelf life with Christian McCaffrey. Zeke had a great first 3 years too, and he ran for 1,000 yards last year on over 4 yards a carry, which isn't terrible, but he did not look good doing it. He doesn't break any long runs anymore. The explosiveness is gone. He's allegedly slimmed down and got in better shape, but how often do we hear that? And the guys still don't have anything left because
it's the juice, and the usage that he's gotten just catches up to him.
It catches up. You can't take that kind of beating. Yep. You can't touch the ball 300 times so often and then be able to come back from it. Michael Parsons, one of the best defensive players in the league, though. The rest of their defense overrated. I think O-line's not what it was. It's still good, but not what it was. But I still think they have enough talent there. CeeDee Lamb also on offense. If they sit Zeke, or at least split it a lot more with Pollard, I think they'll be pretty effective running the ball. I think their offense will be, they're going to score some points. Enough against teams in their division that aren't that great. But I don't know. I guess the Giants could the Giants be a little bit of a sneaky team? No? Brian Daboll there? Barkley allegedly looks like the Flash again.
How often do we hear that and it doesn't work out? Barkley, the injuries catch up, but
he has no tread off the tires yet.
The leash that Daniel Jones has gotten as a starting quarterback in this league is unmatched. And he has shown nothing. Yes, he had that really long run that, guess what, he fumbled at the end of it. It is just baffling to me.
He does like to fumble. He loves to fumble.
there was a lot to like. I liked Odell when he was with New York and Eli Manning, and there's nothing to like.
And they beat the Patriots twice.
Yes. It infuriates me seeing what Daniel Jones is continually given, and he doesn't have great receivers. He has Tony and Galladay, and but he's got Barkley. I just think that they have a really good defense coming up. I think Kevin Thibodeau is going to, compete and show people why he should have been the number 1 pick in the draft.
I thought their draft was good too.
Their draft was good. I think, Ravens, Giants, and Jets had the best 3 drafts, in my opinion. But, I think...
Helps to have 2 top 7 picks, though. Makes you look a little better.
I guess
Always
so.
makes you look smart.
It should, as long as they turn out, and I think they will. I think the Giants finish last in that division. I think they go 4 or 5 wins. Man. I'm not high on them. I think they stink.
It's not that I'm high on them. I'm just really low on Carson Wentz in Washington.
Well, I would be so low if not for Washington's defensive front and being able to, I think, impose their will this year when they're healthy. It's always the big question mark if they're healthy. With
already fired their D-line coach.
Yeah, and I just like Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson and McKissick and their rookie that they have a running back competing for the job because Gibson keeps fumbling. Yeah. But I think Washington slightly edges out the Giants at 5 or 6 wins. But look, my hot take is I think the Eagles are the number 1 seed in the NFC. I think Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, throwing that in the middle, that big mountain of a man, and Nakobe Dean, I think he was the best linebacker in college football. And
he's slow though.
Doesn't
matter. Doesn't matter. He's fast enough in pads for me.
I think they're gonna shock a lot of people with what. And look, they have the NFC East has the worst or the easiest strength of schedules down the board. 30, 31, 31, 29.
Ooh, baby.
They're all because they
play
partly
each other.
because they play each other, but they play the two worst divisions: the NFC North and the AFC South. That's their cross. Those are just cupcake wins you're throwing at them, minus Indianapolis and Green Bay.
I mean, they should at least get 5 wins out of that. I mean, at worst.
Yeah,
at worst.
and I think the Eagles easily split the series with Dallas, and then I think they could sweep the other ones. I think they get to 12 wins.
They could sweep Dallas. Easily.
Yeah, they could easily. I think the Philly is just. I think they're gonna be good, and they're gonna shock a lot of people, and they're my sleeper team to win the NFC. And I have Jalen Hurts as my MVP.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if
Jalen Hurts MVP.
If you look at it, he's the only quarterback. I forget the exact numbers, but with over 1,000 rushing yards and 4,000 passing yards in his first 2 seasons, the only quarterback ever to do that. And I think he's going to show people he's an improved Lamar Jackson, being able to throw the balls with the weapons he has, and Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. I mean, people forget about Goddard, him being a top 8 to 10 tight. I mean, there's just I hate Philly fans are in that ballpark of not likable, but there's a lot to like there with this team, and I like them.
I like him, but man, Jalen Hurts is.
I know you don't like him, but
he can't.
He's shown enough
that well.
And that's why I think Nick Sirianni is coach of the year too. I mean, this is all if it goes according to plan.
This could be. We're gonna be similar kind of. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I don't have him as that, but that's interesting. That's a good take though.
Yeah, and I just think the Cowboys losing Amari Cooper is going to be bigger than what people think. I think CD.
You don't think CD can handle the
I
number one
don't
by
think
himself?
CD. If they had another competent wide receiver too,
yeah,
I don't think they have that. Dalton Schultz is good, but you need an outside receiver to help CD. I think he's that type of receiver to need help. I don't think he's I don't think he's Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or Cooper Kupp to win one-on-one matchups continuously.
He's more dangerous with the ball in his hands. He's like Jamar after he catches it, but not before he catches it. Sure.
Like to reiterate your points, I think Dak Prescott is overrated, and I think Zeke's coming off the back. I think he's in his twilight years of a running back.
Dak is gonna end up in the Hall of Fame on the most hollow numbers ever. Maybe not.
It's garbage time. It is garbage time.
His stats
numbers.
look great, but you watch him play, it's never coming when they need it.
Yeah, so that division can be interesting, but we'll see how it plays out. And I think the Eagles and Cowboys are both walk-ins to the playoffs.
Yeah. Finally, the NFC West, the second best division in football.
Yeah.
Would be the best if Seattle had a pulse, probably. But because I think their top 3 is just pretty nasty. But I have San Francisco winning the division. I'm a Trey Lance believer. I don't think Kyle Shanahan would. I don't think Kyle Shanahan would be doing this if
we save the hot takes for last.
Yeah. I have them as my number 1 seed.
Oh. That's just a lot.
I'm just I like. There's a lot of good noise about Brandon Ayuk and camp.
I love
Debo.
Brandon.
I like their running back stable, even though they're maybe not have a stud. I mean, Elijah Mitchell was great last year.
No.
With a running quarterback like that, that's with Jimmy Garoppolo back there that they're running the ball. They great O line, great defense, especially on the D line. Nick Bosa's an animal. They're stacked all around. They've won a lot of games. Even though I think he's a big choke artist late in games, I'm a big Kyle Shanahan believer other than that.
Yeah.
And I think the Rams have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. They had a lot of older guys that were on that team that won that. They did bring in
Bobby Wagner.
And Anthony Robinson.
Allen Robinson is not the point. Oh.
You hate Trey Lance?
I don't like him.
Why do you hate Trey Lance?
I just think he's unproven.
You know how similar he is to Jalen Hurts in terms of like physical abilities.
Until I see it,
yeah.
And I don't like. There's nothing wrong with picking them to win to be number 1 seed in the NFC. That's a little bit of a hot take. I could see them, being a very good playoff team and going far. But the Rams, why I like the Rams to win the division and to be like the 2 seed. Is because Aaron Donald and Sean McVay, even though he's young, they've all talked about retiring already. Sean McVay doesn't seem like he really is in this.
I don't think he's going to retire.
I don't think he's going to
retire.
retire.
He turned down a lot of money from Amazon from what they say.
I just think that their time to win is right now, and they all know that. And I think that Aaron Donald they have, as much as you want to hate, like they could have the best position player at every position. Not like every position, but Cooper Kupp, Bobby Wagner, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey.
I'm not sure Bobby Wagner's still the best, but somebody I want on my defense for sure. I was hoping
what he's done in I mean, if he just can, look, it's his last chance to possibly win a Super Bowl. He's going to get everything he has. I think they've got the right organization and everything culturally to fit and just mesh. Yeah. And I think Sean McVay is a new age quarterback, but as you've seen last year in the playoffs, he runs the ball. He continually runs the ball. He doesn't get pass happy, even though he's got a great passing attack.
They'll run the ball.
He has the balance. He has Sony Michel and Cam Akers and Henderson.
Sony Michel's in Miami now.
Yikes.
Yeah, but they still have Henderson
and Akers. But yeah. So I like what there is in LA.
I like them. I have them in the playoffs. Don't love them though. I think there's a little bit. It's tough being the target. It's tough being the champs. It draws everybody. You got number one schedule. It's tough. I think San Francisco just has a little easier time navigating their schedule and a little more going for them. And I think that they lost Von Miller, the Rams. Although he was like a midseason pickup, but they weren't that great in the regular season last year anyway. Like they weren't a top seed. They got through because the top seed like to play bad special teams. But Arizona, I don't have them in the playoffs.
I don't have them either. They're like right behind. They're on the fringe. I have them right behind San Francisco. I have them make the playoffs, but they're like right neck and neck.
I'd have them in over Dallas, except for DeAndre Hopkins out for 6 games. And I think that would be a struggle for Kyler because he likes to just throw jump balls up. Yeah. He doesn't like to watch tape. Even that's why it ended up in. Don't let him fool you. That's why it ended up in that contract because he's even talked about it before that he doesn't like to watch tape. He doesn't think of himself as somebody who likes to watch tape a lot. Not that he doesn't do some of that, but it doesn't seem to translate on the field. He likes to play a more playground style. I'm not a Kingsbury guy. I don't think he can handle a professional team for. It's weird though. They've gone up every year, but then you watch them play and you're like, how? And I think last year was just an aberration. They started off so up as they had like some of the most incredible fumble luck and fourth down like conversion rates in the history of the league for the first like 9 games, and they go 8-1. And it's just something that's just not repeatable. And it's not going to. They something they can count on this year. They're in a stacked division, but minus Seattle. They're going to have a hard schedule. I don't see them, and they don't have DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 games. They could easily start out 2-4, end up 8-9, 9-8. I guess if they make 9-8, they might make the playoffs, but they'll be right there with Dallas. I think they'll be fighting with Dallas for the last spot, maybe Detroit or Minnesota.
I think they're fighting with New Orleans or San Francisco for the last playoff spot. I think DeAndre's being out isn't as big of an impact because I think they brought in Hollywood Brown's going to help, and they already have Zach Ertz, and James Conner was a beast last year. Where'd that come from? Sorry, Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Contract year.
Yes. I think a bigger hit for them is losing Chase Edmonds and losing that explosiveness out of the backfield. Yeah. I do think Kyler Murray's a little in over his head, even though he's not that short. The defense is what I think played out of their mind last year in that first 8 to 10 games, and then they really came back down to earth, and I think that's where they are. I think J.J. Watt cannot anchor a line anymore. I think Chandler Jones is good, but I think that pass rush is a little bit too hyped up than what it actually is.
Yeah.
Budda Baker's good. There's a lot to like, but I just don't think Kingsbury and that organization can lead this team to be what it wants to be, and it really isn't going to be that.
Yeah. And then we have bringing up the rear, battling with Atlanta and Chicago for the worst team in the league, and maybe Houston.
Yep.
Seattle Seahawks, blatant take job. Trade away some key pieces. Purposely didn't try to get better at quarterback when they had opportunities to. They're going to be bad. They're going to be maybe the worst quarterback team in the league, but Geno Smith is going to start, I think, just because Drew Lock had his chance and got COVID to steal the job away. So, yikes.
Yeah, I think, look, I like Pete Carroll. I think he's a very likable guy. I think he's a very he's a little less to the extreme of Dan Campbell, where he gets the most out of his players, but he knows now how to cooperate with them.
He's now an old man, though, too.
Yes, and so
he gets a little nicer with old age.
Yeah, and there's a lot to like there.
Except for the old men we know.
No comment. Them having some very quality running backs is what's going to carry them, I think, to a couple wins at least. I think they get to 3 or 4 wins. I think there's just good enough coaching there, and there's just a good enough foundation there to get a few wins, rather than Atlanta and Chicago not having any.
And they have they have talent in other spots on the team too. And I like their tackle they picked a lot, Charles Cross.
Yep.
But it's just such a bad quarterback situation, and you just can't overcome. And that division is so stacked. I mean, they can go 0-6 easy. Maybe slip one in on somebody who just falls asleep.
The Rams.
Could be the Rams, and I think that's an easy last place. So, what were your NFC playoff teams again? Then I have Green Bay, Philly, Dallas, Tampa, the Rams, Arizona, and the Rams. Sorry, New Orleans, and San Francisco is the 1 seed.
We've got the same playoff teams. I've got the same playoff teams, but I've got the Eagles as the 1 seed, and it's. I think that's pretty. I think that can be universally accepted as those playoff teams. If you want to exchange Arizona with New Orleans, I think that'd be acceptable. I think everybody's pretty much. I think that the NFC is a pretty easy lock.
Yeah, I think at least the 3 divisions not in the West are pretty much locks of who's going to win them.
Yeah.
And then the West could be a lot of different scenarios.
Yep.
All right, for my NFC Championship game, I have the Packers playing at San Francisco. And I have the Packers playing Buffalo in the Super Bowl. I think they're going to be the best defense in the league. I think they got all-pro caliber players. I don't think they do have all-pro people who have made the all-pro team at like every level of defense. Rashawn Gary was like incredible last year in terms of pressure rate. He was, I believe, second in the league. If he gets home a little bit more this year, he's going to have like 15 sacks. They got Preston Smith on the other side. Oh, he's, like I said, second in win rate last year in pass rushes last year in the whole league. Just didn't get home all the time. Obviously, Jair Alexander's back for the whole season this year. They're going to be really deep at corner and in the secondary. And De'Von Campbell was first-team All-Pro last year at linebacker.
Desmond King there. And...
Yeah, he's not really playing that much, though. He's kind of out of the rotation. Douglas and Stokes have moved him out of there. And I just think Rodgers has a lot to prove. Obviously, the receivers have a lot to prove. But I think they can, like I said, they can Patriots it on offense. They can they're going to be able to run the ball. They got a really good quarterback that you have to respect enough that you can't just try and stack the box against them. But they apparently have to find somebody that can go a little bit deep, at least to keep them honest. But I think one of the rookies can maybe provide that by the end of the year, by the time the playoffs roll around. Yeah. And it might help them to not play in Lambeau for the NFC Championship and play in a warm weather situation. Although last time that happened, I think they got beat pretty bad by San Francisco.
Yep. Who do you think's worse, Desmond King or Eli Apple?
Eli Apple.
Eli Apple, hands down?
Yeah.
You've seen enough out of Desmond King to like him.
I don't like him. I didn't say that. But Eli Apple is just a worse player. Eli Apple, he makes plays, and you're like, oh, you see it, and then he gets beat for 7 or 8 catches every game. And you're like, oh, okay, this is what you are. You're going to make like 2 or 3 plays. Tyvis Powell even said it on the radio. He's like, this is back when they're at Ohio State, when he's a top 10 pick coming out.
Yeah.
That you knew he was going to make a play. You knew he was going to give up a play. That's how I feel about him. He'll make a couple plays, but he's gonna give them up too.
Tavis Powell's a very likable guy. Whenever he's on the fan, he's a pretty good.
It's different. It's just different.
It gives you a player's insight, but he gives you a true insight, and he doesn't really sugarcoat it.
And a more recent player.
Yes. Than
some of what's going on there. All right, so
my NFC picks were I have the Rams versus the Eagles. And I think the Eagles beat the Rams, and the Eagles. I like the bird matchup, Ravens-Eagles, and I like the Ravens beating the Eagles. But
running quarterbacks unite.
Yes, that's. I think the league's already kind of transitioned to that, and I think I'm going full go on that.
Yeah, all in on that.
All in on, and that's those are my picks, man. I'm rolling with it.
So who you having the winning it all then?
Baltimore.
Baltimore over the Eagles.
Baltimore over the Eagles. I think the coaching there maybe gets a little bit of the edge in the kicking.
Then Lamar Jackson looks like a genius for not signing anything.
I do. I like players betting on themselves, and I'm going to roll with Lamar on this one.
Yeah, but he bet on himself because he's his own agent, and it's a very weird situation.
Yeah.
I got Green Bay beating Buffalo in the championship. I just think it's
shocker.
I think Rodgers needs to go out with the championship. He needs it.
And I
could see him just going out on them. It's a lot of money to leave on the table. Never mind. He's not going to turn out $50 million a year for the next 2 years, but it's I think it's sort of one of those, especially with Matt LaFleur as coach. If not now, then when? And I've said that about Ryan Day too. If not, you got the team around you, the defense is stacked. They should have been there last year. If special teams holds them back again, oh my god! At least they changed the coaching up. But
I don't watch many Packers games. I had Aaron Jones on my fantasy team a couple years ago. But I've seen enough to not like Matt LaFleur. And I just think that he literally does not use his players in the right situations. Just from what I've seen, that's just my little critical input. And I think that's what holds them back. And him now not having passing options. And I think Rodgers, he
might help him, though.
He could make the most out of me and you if we were running routes.
I still got a couple in me. He's going to get out and a good dig.
I just think that I think there's just too much lost there with Devontae's departure. I think that's just a bigger impact than what you maybe want to admit. And, we'll see. I think they're in an easy enough division maybe that lets them just coast and stay healthy and kind of keep their playing time to a minimum, especially on defense when that's caught up to them. Mm-hmm. I think, they could be there, but I'm just...
The only thing that really worries me about them is, man, their line loves getting injured. It just happens.
The same thing with Cleveland.
Injured.
It is absurd how often Conklin and Jedrick Wills just go down. It's absurd.
All right, so let's look at some odds here and pick I already gave away some of mine because I'm really bad at teasing. Yeah. So we're gonna look at some. Yeah, just the tip. We're gonna go. Let's go with the MVP first. Who do you have, and then let's see who we think is a good.
I already told you my Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to win the MVP. I have Lamar as a close second. Obviously, both teams going to the Super Bowl. I think Jalen Hurts gets there.
Plus 2,500.
Yeah.
Man, that's nasty. Lamar at plus 2,200, though.
Yeah.
I like that a little better.
These factored into him a little bit. I just think the rushing stats will help them. I think with the quarterbacks, like Aaron Rodgers won it last year, because how many touchdowns he threw.
Last two. And throws no picks.
I think it's gonna be a little tough this year to really put up the numbers he did, and I think that
I don't think he's gonna put up the numbers.
I think that opens up the door for a guy, either Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, to really throw the touchdowns to get those numbers up. Guys that maybe won't have the rushing stats, but then that opens up the door even more for guys like Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson to Trey Lance, for the guys that could put up 600, 800 yards rushing and 10 scores on the ground, and then just to throw 20 touchdowns through the air. That could carry. I think that's why it carries Hurts or Lamar to the MVP.
I have Mahomes. He's only plus 750 though, so I wouldn't bet on that. But I think he's going to carry them to win that division, and people are going to recognize how difficult that division is and how relative to the other quarterbacks there, he probably has less talent around him than all those other quarterbacks.
Oh, easily.
And I'll even take Sutland and Judy probably over what he's got at receiver this year.
Well, the running backs. That's why I think the running backs, Javonte and Melvin, being able to catch passes. That's what, hands down, Kansas City's got the worst talent on offense. Weapons.
Kelsey. But Kelsey is a monster.
Kelsey's a monster, but one guy can't. One guy could get 150 yards, and we've seen that.
Man, Jonathan Taylor at plus 5,000. I like that.
Running backs just are undervalued, man.
They are, but if he
should have won it last year.
I would say he should have won it last year, and they usually don't. I mean, but it was close. But I mean, Rodgers had so few interceptions to how many touchdowns and passes he throws. That's what he does.
Yeah.
But it's those are that's some juicy numbers. It's almost too juicy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Vegas likes to do that kind of stuff. All right, Coach of the Year, you have
Sirianni from Philly. Yeah. I think that him being a second-year coach there and being able to if they carry them. I think he carries them at least to the playoffs. But if he's able to do anything with the amount of talent that they have in Philadelphia, I think he's a very, very competent enough to at least get top 5 warrants and coach the year odds.
Yeah, I have Shanahan for about the same reason you do, though. That's who you have the number 1 seed in the NFC. Whoever wins that side, I think, is going to get credit for bringing up a squad that wasn't really favored to win anything.
Yep.
If one of those two does. They don't have odds on that, at least on the website we're using. So we'll move on to NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. And
we both agree on this.
I'm going Homer on this one. Chris Olave, I just think he's in the right situation out of all these guys.
Yes.
Maybe Pickens, but I don't trust his quarterback play. Garrett Moore, I don't trust his quarterback play. Kenneth Walker, don't trust his quarterbacks to help him out.
Yep.
It's just everybody's
Drake London, don't like his quarterback. Traylon Burks, I don't like his quarterback play.
I mean, not that Jameis is the best quarterback in the league, but he can put up some numbers. Yeah. He can help his guy put up some numbers. He's looked good in the preseason. He had a touchdown yesterday. Olave did. Plus 800, he's second favorite. Somehow Kenny Pickett, I guess, because of quarterbacks, but he's not going to start. I don't know why this is plus 700. Drake London at plus 800. Would be nice if he didn't have Marcus Mariota throwing him the football, and then Desmond Ridder most likely later on in the year. Ritter at plus 2,000 may be interesting just because if he does get in there and put up decent stats, he gets that quarterback bump. But I mean, Breece Hall at plus 900 is kind of interesting.
Just looking at that, I'm surprised you haven't. Christian Watson
He's barely practiced.
Yeah, but with them, there's a big body. I'm thinking Rodgers could just gravitate towards that a little bit.
Rodgers loves chucking it deep, but he's got to trust these guys, and I don't.
I would say for the odds.
Yeah,
for the
plus
odds,
1,400. It's not that great though.
I know. That's what I think. It's going to be one of those top. I think really 3 guys.
Most of these guys I can't really see.
Yeah, I just can't see
down towards the bottom. These value picks.
Yeah, if Jameson Williams wasn't out for the start of the year,
he would be plus 1,600.
Yeah.
Doubs would be the one I would look at. He's been the rookie from camp for the Packers that I would think they would want to go to if you're going to go to a rookie receiver. And who else are they going to throw to, especially deep? Yeah. It's not going to be. I mean, Lazard can do it though, a little bit. I guess if he'll surprise you, but it's definitely not going to be Randall Cobb. But like I said, I think they run the ball a little too much, and it's hard to get credit when you got the 2-time reigning MVP on your team.
Yeah, and usually you're not going to do a 3P.
All right, and Defensive Player of the Year. I have Joey Bosa. Told you why earlier. One of the most double team guys in the league. Just picked up somebody that'll get those double teams off him. Double-digit sacks like every year he's been in the league, except for when he had some injury issues. Injuries are the only thing that worries me about him. Both the Bosa brothers love getting hurt.
And Chase Young.
And Chase Young. It's tough. It's like thoroughbreds, man. Anything a little bit off, it's gonna affect them.
Well, they were big. I mean, Nick Young tore his ACL. Chase Young tore his ACL. Bosa hasn't had that big injury, but he's had the
hamstring issues.
Yes.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Who'd you have?
It's the only time I'm going to show my Browns bias is I pick Myles Garrett. I think that he's long enough removed from the helmet over the head to really be able to bring to that forefront. And I think that he's going to be the light on that defense that's going to, the Browns had a top 5 defense last year under the radar. You look at the games like New England and the Chargers who put up, 40-plus points on us. Most of those other games, look, you just look at the Bengals game at the Bengals and how just shutting them out from the get-go. A little motivation from the Odell trade maybe after that, but I just think that there's a lot to like Myles Garrett, and I think he's got the physical attributes just to possibly get to the 18 sack mark.
I think he'll get there at 18 sacks. That sounds reasonable. The 17 game schedule throws everything out.
Yes, excuse it.
But that's not a bad pick at all. I think their defense is going to be top 5 too. If they had a quarterback, I think they'd be the Super Bowl. Like if Deshaun was there for the whole year, I think they'd be Super Bowl favorites. But he's not because he's rapey.
Yeah, rapey is a strong word, but I'd say touchy-feely.
It's very, very touchy with his meat bat.
Yeah.
All right. I think
defensive rookie of the year. It's a tough one. I have Travon Walker. I think there's enough there in Jacksonville for him to have some decent numbers there. You could have a guy like Nakobe Dean. Under the radar odds was Kyle Hamilton, but there's just too much talent there in Baltimore for him to get enough significant playing time.
I like Kyle Hamilton though. Actually, there I think that's not a bad one.
Yeah.
Thibodeau also I think has a good chance.
Hutchinson, Jordan Davis. It's tough. I think it's tougher than offensive.
Jordan Davis won't put up the stats to get the credit. He never put up the stats in Georgia, but he can have the biggest impact, no doubt.
He is the biggest impact.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll go with Hutchinson. He's tough.
Michigan, man.
He's going to get to play against Chicago. I know, but he gets to play against Chicago, and he's going to probably sack Fields like 3 times both games because their offensive tackles can't block anybody.
That's going to be so brutal, and then he's going to...
Yeah, I know.
God.
It's tough. Don't like it.
Yep.
All right, well, good luck to the Browns, but not really for the year. And
we saw where your vengeance lies with the Packers going all the way.
Yep. All right, thanks for tuning in. Like our YouTube channel, subscribe, give us comments, tell us how dumb we are or how good looking we are, whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just Matt. This is just Jason. We'll see you guys later.
Hey guys! Whoa, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
A rich man's world. I have turned the soul of this beautiful land, but that